I go to get my horror news, besides all the other places, is NerdRemix.
Where in hell are you from anyway, Private? Sir, Texas, sir! Holy dog shit, Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, Private Cowboy. And you don't much look like a steer to me, so that kind of narrows it down.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
But your regenerated circuits are tuned asynchronously, and that causes concatenation in the intermediate amplifiers. That's good.
I have pain.
That's good.
You know you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck. You know that?
That's good.
NerdRemix Radio. I'm Tom, and as always, he's not here today, the great and terrible Derek Huey. Today I have a very special guest, not the great and terrible, the lovely and talented Jessica Cameron. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, camel spiders. I saw it in Redbox, so apparently it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's, thank God, love everyone. Particularly in the Midwest, there's reports of it selling out, like people going to, particularly in Ohio, but in surrounding states as well, to like Walmart and Best Buy, and not being able to get a copy because it's sold out. I don't know how many copies they had to begin with, but however many they had, they're sold out. So they should be getting more copies. But yeah, it's everywhere.
That's good news. What else do you got coming up that we need to look out for, besides your Monster Man appearance?
Yes, and the Monster Man appearance is probably going to play for the rest of my life. They're like playing it all the time. It's so funny. People are always like, I just saw you on Monster Man. I just saw you on Monster Man. I'm like, of course you did. Of course you did. So that's going to continue playing. I think Legend of the Grass Man, which is a film that I did in Ohio, that'll be coming out shortly. American Girls is in post-production right now, so that'll be finalizing. I'm leaving to go shoot, obviously, lots more fun stuff. So I'm leaving to go shoot a cameo in a movie that I can't say the name of, but it's a Christmas horror film shooting in Canada. So I'm going to go do that in a week. I believe it's a week or so. So that'll be out Christmas. So that'll be awesome. And then I'm doing a reality show, which will be, I'm sure it'll be, like Monster Man everywhere. And then I film 3 movies back to back in June, which will be a family film, and then a thriller in Thailand, and then a horror film in Palm Springs.
Wow. Horror film in Palm Springs and a thriller in
Thailand.
That seems backwards. And
I know.
reality show, you heard it here first. Look for Jessica on the next season of Survivor.
No, thank God it's not. No. It's supposed to be, it's a fashion-related show, which, so those of you who know me know that I do have a design degree. So that's kind of how they're getting away with the reality aspect of it.
I see.
So it'll be fun, though. It's great. They approached me, so we're just finalizing the paperwork, which is why I'm not going to say the title, but as soon as I can, I'll let you know. But it's going to be fun, and, it's great to be able to be working. That's like the best thing to have. I think now I'm shooting 5 feature films and a show in the next 2 months, so to be working is wonderful.
That sounds good. So it's not Big Brother or The Amazing Race then, so we don't need to look for
No. And actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll say the title. It's called Brides of Beverly Hills. So, the papers are not locked, so you never know. It could totally, change, but seeing as I'm shooting this week.
Oh, don't worry about it. Nobody ever listens to this
unlikely.
anyway, so.
And I play a wedding dress consultant, which I'm actually really excited for, because those of you who know me know I love fashion. I just don't like the corporate vibe of being stuck in office space around people that I don't like, pretending to be a snobbish fashion designer. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. It's the filming that I love, helping women, find the right dress for them, and it's all on TV. So hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We'll have to look for you. Hell yeah.
And I love clothing. As you see, you see me in the red carpet, everyone's like, always commenting on my wardrobe and my dresses, and I'm such a girly girl clothing-wise, and I love playing dress-up. So I am eagerly awaiting playing dress-up with a ton of other people on this show.
Yeah, I noticed there's been a lot of red carpet photos of you on social media with Devaney and the King of the Soul Patch, Brandon Slagle.
Yes, I love them. I'm doing their next movie too. I have, again, a cameo in The Haunting of the Black Dahlia, which is a wonderful little project that I'm really excited for. And everyone's always asked, like, what is your ideal role? And I've always said I'd love to play a Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe kind of role, so that's going to be my cameo. And it's all based on true historic facts, so there's rumors to the Black Dahlia having interacted with Marilyn prior to her death, so they're going to play up on that aspect. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait. That's supposed to shoot somewhere in the end of May.
Very cool. There's some talented people involved with that, just like more of the same people involved with American Girls then too, right?
Yes. Well, and Devaney and Brandon are just both so on top of it. I'm really excited to see Brandon's directing this one. And I love Brandon. So Brandon directed the trailer for American Girls, which I thought was really powerful. And to me, like, it's great to see what you can do when you have passion and skill, not necessarily money, but everything else. It's a wonderful, I think, challenge that they rise to the occasion for. How can we make a great quality film, tell a legit story that people want to hear, and, deal with the fact that we don't have a lot of money.
Exactly. I mean, he let me review, he gave me an advanced copy of Area 51 Confidential that he did, and he said he made that for around $400. I happened to watch it on the same night I watched Apollo 18, and it was like, okay, $4 million and $400, which is the better film,
And which one was better?
Area 51, I enjoyed it more than so, he just didn't have the creepy little moon crabs that they had in Apollo 18, but hey, you can't have everything,
well, and
right?
that's really the difference of the $4 million budget. But kudos to Brandon and Dev too for not one of the common mistakes that I see independent filmmakers trying to do too often is they don't have the money for something and they try to do what they want in a cheap, bad way. And I think you're better off just to work a story around why you don't have it. You know what I mean? So in Devaney's and Brandon's, they don't have money for little creepy moon critters, so you don't have them.
Yeah, you use a sound effect, or you light it differently, and yeah.
Exactly. Figure out how to tell that story without the aspect that you can't afford.
Exactly.
So I think that they've done a really fantastic job, and that's what I always encourage filmmakers to do. I think that everybody has a box. So when I say a box, I mean, you have this number of dollars, you have access to these types of equipment or whatnot. Like, this is the box that you have. So I do believe everybody should aim to work at the highest part of the box that they can reach to. But I don't believe, again, like, you can't, if you're making a $4 million movie, don't put a $40 million car crash in it. You can't do that. That's not going to work out well for you.
Exactly. And, it's great that you're working with people like that because, talented, passionate people always find their way to each other, gravitate towards each other, and, hopefully you guys will work together some more in the future. I mean, it's pretty exciting that you guys are, working together because I enjoy everybody's work involved. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I love them, and they're always, like, so kind and so respectful. And they're like, we know that you've got, 4 other features and a TV show, but, we want to put you in this role, and it's not a huge role, but it's going to be something really meaty, and we can shoot you out in these days and fit it into your schedule. So they're always so on top of it, which is great. Honestly, I will forgive a lot of things, just don't waste my time. That's kind of how I roll. So they're always so conscious of that, and they're so great. And honestly, like, when I was on American Girl, for the budget that they had, I've never eaten so well. The food was awesome. We, got to set, and there was, this full breakfast. It was amazing to have this whole, basic group of people just work together for a greater good,
Exactly. One thing I wanted to touch on, people, half-ass stealing your identity on social media for their own nefarious gains.
Yes, that is actually so. Side note to those of you listening in, Tom and I were chatting, and I was like, okay, this is a podcast, so we should do it, because sometimes I have these conversations with you, and I'm like, damn it, that would be a good podcast, but I don't want to do it after we've already talked in depth, because it feels too stagey.
Exactly.
So yeah, people have, as of late, been stealing my identity. It's now happened twice that I'm aware of. Most recently, for a gentleman that you know, and I greatly appreciate you bringing it to light, a filmmaker. Well, okay, so you can't see the quotes that I'm putting around filmmaker with my hands right now, or the look on my face as I say that, but let's just say that I'm using this term in the loosest context humanly available. Okay?
Yeah, I got you.
So, but like, I'll give it to anyone. If you actually make some kind of film, then you're technically a filmmaker. Now, are you a good one? Are you legit? No, totally different. So, note the air quotes. So this filmmaker took some of my publicly accessible photos and made fake movie posters for a project that I'm not in, that he's never even approached me with. We haven't discussed, and presented it, that it was literally, what did he say? It was Jessica Cameron as you've never seen her before.
And it almost looked like softcore porn.
Oh, it did. It was a movie I would never, first of all, like my people and I would never, even if I really felt, let's just say it was the world's greatest script with a title like Why Daddy Why, implying what it was implying, like my people would never let me sign off on that. Like they're really lenient and I love them for that. But let's be honest, there's no way in hell they'd let me do a softcore, incestuous porn kind of film. Not going to happen, nor would I want to, which is why we work out well together. But yes, so, and then it's shocking. So I had to contact this man and get him to remove the photo, and I wrote on his wall and his public pages that, it's illegal. Like, first of all, when it's a professionally taken photo with the studio and a real photographer, like the photographer technically, by law, owns the images. He's a professional. This is his work.
Yeah.
So when I usually do, they call it in the business trade for prints. Well, then I own the rights to the photo as well as the photographer. But that doesn't mean that you can take them and make fictitious posters trying to leech off of my name or image for your own sense of, legitimacy.
Exactly. I've run into the rights on photos a couple times doing the Horror Hottie of the Month thing. I actually I haven't really had to take anything down because I think I tell people that before they submit any photos for it, that hey, you need the rights for these. But there's been a few where they people will say, hey, make sure the photographer's watermark is visible on there. So.
Oh, absolutely. But like I'm really lucky. Like my photographers that I work with are all really awesome, and I love them, and they're professionals. But again, like they wouldn't, they work with me knowing that I would never let their photo be used in conjunction with any kind of questionable film or questionable filmmaker. Like that's our understanding of what, why we work together for a common goal. So when somebody takes a photo without my permission, and then like there's just like the whole creepy aspect too about somebody spending their time doing that kind of thing. It just sort of creeps you out when you think about this person altering your photo for their own good. It's like this weird sort of, it almost reminds me of how you feel like when when you close a window curtain because you feel like somebody's watching you from outside and you don't want them to see in your world. There's like something very invasive about it.
So Jessica probably took a long, hot shower after she saw the photo.
Oh, I did. It was horrible. But then it just, a couple of, maybe a month ago or so, somebody else, there was like this whole like family that was created that is fictitious, where this girl was pretending to be dying of cancer, and all of her photos are my photos that were stolen. And when you see this page, it was like such a weird moment, because I'm looking at this page and they had superimposed my image with lots of religious figures and Jesus and that, because the story was that this girl, whose name was something I forget now, but it was my image, was dying of cancer. So they had all these like postings, and like she had several, or this person, I don't know if she or he, like they had a fictitious younger brother, they had parents, like all these people are commenting on their page and getting tons of other people like, oh my god, we hope you feel better, we hope you don't die, we want you to live, going on and on and on. It had been going on for like over a month. So like it's really weird to see your image with these like, praying for her soul, and she took a step towards death's door, but she is bouncing back, and people sending prayers for my image, even though it's nothing to do with me. It was really weird and totally surreal. I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible.
That would be. I mean, and I haven't seen any pictures of you that you look sick, so.
Well, and they did it. Like, they had altered just photos that I had. But then you get, like, all these other people saying using this false identity, saying, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful, we hope that you live, you're going to make a fast recovery, you're so young, you're so healthy, dot, 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 dot. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I got a word of that through a friend of mine that I worked with on a film, who wrote me to be like, I don't mean to be rude, but, can I ask you if you're dying? Because I came across this page, and I didn't know if, Jessica Cameron's a stage name. So in her mind, she was wondering if, because again, it had like gone on for so long, and there's so many people that was in on this, you know, like again, her whole family has to have been false, because obviously I'm not this girl. So she has this whole family, like a younger brother, going, I just don't want you to die, sister. Do you remember when you took this photo of us? And I'm like, that's not you.
So
I was like, you weren't there. I was. What the heck?
we've learned 3 things so far. We've learned that you're not going to be on Survivor.
No, I'm not. Sad.
You took a long hot shower after a certain movie poster.
Oh my God, yes.
And you're currently not dying. So.
Yes. No, I'm alive and well, thank God. Which we want, right?
Exactly.
Like, honestly. So it was really just this really weird, and like it was so funny because people had been interacting with this false identity for so many weeks or months or whatnot, that there was a couple people who contacted me on the fan page that I have, because the personal page is closed off to some people. So they contacted me on my fan page to say, well, we heard a clip of your movie and we spoke to this girl online and we think it's the same girl. And I'm like, no, it's not. We might sound similar. I don't know if she's distorting her voice. All I can tell you is I don't have cancer and that's not my profile.
That's amazing.
You know?
It's amazing the lengths people will go to I don't know, pull the wool over people's eyes, I guess.
Isn't it? Well, and that's just it. Like, I don't know if they were trying to get money or what, but it was so shady and so bad. So, like, currently, as far as I know, knock on wood, they have removed it. But, I mean, if you see any images of me, obviously Jessica Cameron is my real name. It's the only name I go under. I am not dying of anything. If, heaven forbid, I ever am dying, I will tell you and be open about it. But
there's a creepiness factor, too. I mean, that's like when, I met you at Horror Hound. I told you right away, hey, the Jessica on my forearm is not for you. My wife's name is Jessica, too. Don't think I'm a creep, so,
Exactly, and then it's very, like, it's weird. It's a sense of sort of invasiveness that's really, it's really unsettling, and when you think about somebody, again, spending all of this time, it's really, really not cool, it's a very weird thing. And then, ironically, there is one actor who I won't mention because you wouldn't know of him even if I did, and I'm using, again, the air quotes around the term actor. So he writes me on Facebook, and he was like, well, I think that the reason why somebody stole your identity is because you put yourself out there so much. You're all over. And I was like, really? I was like, you're an idiot.
Isn't that kind of what you're supposed to do?
Well, not only is it what you're supposed to do, but I was like, you're an absolute moron. Let's think about this for a second. If you're stealing somebody's identity, are you going to take somebody that is really out there, or are you going to take somebody that nobody knows of? And I was like, I don't think that had anything to do with it. They saw my photos, they liked them, they thought they could get away with it. But if they had realized, how out there I was, if they looked into the fact that I'm an actress, there's no way in hell they would have taken my photos, because they would have known it's only a matter of time before I find out. You have a lot better chance of getting away with taking some, girl who's taken a few great photos but nobody knows about. Take her identity as opposed to me, where people are like, is this you? Is this you?
Exactly. I mean, that's like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, there's no way she could be involved in something like this, and that's why I let you know right away. But seriously, how bad would you have shit if you would have saw the tattoo on my arm and I would have introduced my wife as like Alice or something?
And you totally should have done that. That would have been hilarious. I don't know. We should ask you. You'll have to ask Tiffany Shepard, because people have actually like tattooed her face.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Tiff has some crazy fans. I don't blame them because she's awesome.
Yeah,
but, I don't, knock on wood, we'll see if I ever get to that point, it'll be interesting to see what it's like to have my permanent face on their body. That would just be weird. Don't do it, people. I'm not encouraging that.
Well, there was a few people that left Motor City Nightmares yesterday with autographed 8x10s of me because I was giving a few away as prizes up there.
Wait!
So, I couldn't give too many away because I probably would have gotten in trouble, but,
Photos are fantastic. We like photos.
Oh, yeah. And, fans like photos up there, and I'm sure they like photos of you, so.
Every once in a while.
And I did get to speak to Tiffany Shepard yesterday, so, that was cool. I had met her a couple years ago, actually, and I saw her again yesterday, talked to her for a little bit at Motor City, and gorgeous as ever. She's actually better looking in person than she is on film, if you can believe that, and she smells fantastic. Also, I noticed when I met you, you smelled good, too, so that's always a plus.
Well, thank you. I try. It's important to not be, it's really easy. So at these conventions, for those of you who don't know, a lot of the conventions, not all, but a lot of them, like there's often like a lot of people in small places. They're not necessarily set up to have like the best air conditioning or ventilation. So sometimes you get a lot of people in a hot location that may or may not be wearing deodorant. So these these conventions don't always smell the nicest, you know, so I always try to make sure that I bring extra perfume. And, you know, then on top of it, too, like, you're usually drinking a fair bit, so drinking, obviously, when you drink a lot of alcohol, it comes out through your pores.
That's the reason I mentioned that, because my wife always mentions when she go, you know, my long-suffering wife is how I introduce her to people, because I drag her to all these horror conventions. She always comments on, you know, every once in a while somebody will walk by, she's like, oh my God, did you smell that? Oh my God, did you smell that? You know, stuff like that, so.
Exactly. So, but it's comical for me, like, I just laugh at it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's part of the experience, I guess. You know, you'll have guys come up to you that, you know, smell like they've bathed in bong water, and
exactly, yes. And you just sort of like, oh, it's nice to meet you. You're like, wait a second. Did you see, like, there's a great photo of, like, a young child, and he's asking me to sign something at Horror Hound, and he looks possessed. He was a sweet kid, and I didn't clue it until, like, one of my friends, Perry, pointed out. He was like, have you seen that photo? He looks like he's going to, like, kill you with his eyes. It's really quite comical.
It was hilarious because we saw this guy at Motor City yesterday, and I'm saying guy loosely. You know, I've seen people in drag, and, you know, I have nothing against gay people. I think gay people are actually pretty fascinating. I have gay friends and everything else, but this guy he was wearing like a corset type thing, heels, hose, and everything else, but he wasn't dragged out from the neck up, and it wasn't a costume. And he was actually talking to somebody next to Kane Hodder's table, and I'm talking to Kane Hodder, and he keeps looking over and raising his eyebrows, and looking over and raising his eyebrows. I'm like, Kane, that's a dude, because there was, you know, the ass was right in his face, and he goes, I know, I saw the 5 o'clock shadow. But it was hilarious because I'm trying to carry on a conversation with him. He keeps looking at me and then looking over at this guy and raising his eyebrows and smiling real big.
Who you don't want to see after, like, that's like one of those people you're like, I'm going to avoid you when it comes like 3 a.m. and everyone's like figuring out where they're going to pass out.
Well, you know, you expect to see, I mean, and I love seeing freaky people there. I mean, you know, if I could get away, if I could pull it off, I would dress like a freak too. But, you know, I'm 41 years old. I can't pull it off anymore. I mean, I used to have enough piercings in my face that I looked like I fell into a tackle box or something. But, you know, not anymore. I'm kind of a responsible adult, I think.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, true. I did do some shots of Jägermeister with the guy at the horror merch table yesterday, so.
See, there you go. That's what we call living the dream.
Yeah, exactly. If that's what you want to call it, sister.
That's what I like to pretend. But I love the convention circuit because it's just so. Everyone's just so happy and excited to be there. You know, it's just a lot of fun. Particularly if Tiffany Shepard's around, she's great because she is always like she could be at the. I've seen her at busy conventions where she's making an absurd amount of money. I've seen her at conventions where there's nobody there, so nobody's making any money, and she's always Tiff. Like, she's always, no matter what it is, she's like, screw it, I'm going to have a great time, and I think that that's a wonderful attitude to have.
I think I like the convention experience so much because, you know, I grew up in a small town in Ohio. I spent most of my adult life here other than going to college and, you know, a few jobs here and there. But I don't have anybody that lives on my block that I can talk to about, you know, a Dario Argento Maggot Storm or something like that. So when I go to a horror convention, I feel like I'm amongst my people, you know. It's my tribe.
Nice. That's completely true. You are.
So is there anything that you're excited that's coming out that you want to see, that you want to, you know, touch on?
You know what? I haven't seen, I'm not involved, obviously. Wish I was. I'm really excited to see Cabin in the Woods. I haven't seen it yet.
I heard that was good. I've heard actually good and bad about it, so I'm kind of on the fence about that. One thing that I'm not real excited to see is the Dark Shadows remake. Even though...
No, I don't think I'm going to see it. There's a huge media push in LA, so basically if you were to be in LA right now, you can't look anywhere outside without seeing 3 major, large, oversized posters of one of them individually or group photos. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, they had a life-size set with the whole cast in a big, like, velvet chair. I got my picture taken in it yesterday at Motor City Nightmares. It's on my Facebook, and if you look at it, I am making a jacking off motion while the picture was being taken.
Of course you are, because that's how you roll.
So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up.
I don't know. I don't think it looks very clever. I don't think it looks very witty. I was not a huge fan. Obviously I'm unfamiliar, I should say, with the original one that I know is causing like some fans are like, oh no, it's, you know, I loved Barnaby. Well, I'm not saying it's not good because of that. Just to me, it just doesn't look like a very interesting movie.
I think they kind of made it into a comedy. I'm familiar with the original series because it was on in syndication when I was a kid. Yes, I'm that old. And
It'll be our secret.
I'm a fan of the revival that they did in the early 90s, which is actually known as the series that the Gulf War killed. So,
Oh, wow.
because it got great ratings, but it kept getting preempted by the Gulf War. So people were watching it, and they were getting into it, and then all of a sudden they couldn't see a full episode because it was always interrupted with news clips about the Gulf War. So it actually had Barbara Steele in it. So
Oh, wow. I'll have to check that out.
I have it on
Pretty good.
DVD. I'll send it to you sometime.
Oh, nice. Sweet. See, it's all about the hookup.
Exactly. Other than that, there's not really anything. I'm kind of excited to see Wrath of the Crows with Tiffany Shepis and Debbie Rochon and
Yes, I've spoken with
Tara
that filmmaker.
Cardinal.
He's very passionate. I love passionate people, and I love passionate filmmakers. If you're passionate, you'll go a long way, in my experience, as long as you're not an idiot or a jackass. But he's not. He's great, so I can't wait to see that. And, of course, Tiff's in it, so love her.
Yeah, and I've seen the Color from the Dark that he did with Debbie Rochon a couple of years ago, and Nympha that he did with Tiffany a couple of years ago, and it seems like those are the best performances I've seen by those two, as far as like deep emotional stuff, and I think he pulls that out of his cast pretty well. So I'm really excited to see Wrath of the Crows, and we kind of bonded, Ivan and I, on Facebook over the band Voivod. I actually had seen him back in 1985. Yes, I'm that old. And I scanned the ticket stub and sent him the picture.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, you have to tell him I said hello. Like, we've chatted, so hopefully the next Ivan film, I'll hopefully, knock on wood, have a roll in.
Yeah, you'll be over in Italy, like slurping up spaghetti and stuff.
Oh my gosh, how much fun would that be? We could Skype over in Italy, and, like on Piazza or whatever they call it. See, but like, here's the problem with me in Italy, because I'm such a foodie. So those of you who don't know me, I love food. I love lots of food. I love all kinds of food. There's really nothing I don't eat, quite frankly. So I feel like me in Italy will make me gain like 4 sizes and 30 pounds.
I think it's a Canadian thing. It's like hockey, beer, and maple syrup and food, right? So.
Hell yes, and bacon. Let's not forget the bacon.
Every time I talk to somebody who's from Canada, and I love Canadian bands, I love Canadian people and everything. I actually love Canada. I've spent a lot of time in Toronto, and a beautiful city. But I'm always drawn to something that they said on The Simpsons, where the Americans and the Canadians were fighting over who was going to rescue the Simpsons in a barrel on Niagara Falls, and the Americans called the Canadians puck-slapping maple suckers. But
That's also because it's true.
The Canadians called the Americans Shatner stealing Mexico touchers. So.
See, right on Canadians, and that's probably the meanest thing. Most Canadians are pretty nice, so
Yeah.
and they're very politically correct.
Absolutely, and very, like I said, Toronto is the cleanest big city I've ever seen in my life. So they're not all like Bob and Doug McKenzie. A lot of them look like Jessica. So.
This is true. They do. But like, if you look, it's so funny because like I look a lot like like other Canadians. Everyone's always like, you look like so and so, and probably 80 times out of 100, it's a Canadian that people think I look like, and it's like, yeah, because we look Canadian. We're clear and we don't get a lot of sunlight, and it's cold, so our skin adapts. So it's just comical. I'm like, of course we look alike. Damn it.
There's a very distinct Canadian skull shape, I think. We're getting into some anthropology here, so.
Yeah. Right?
That's amazing. You look Canadian. I
know.
could maybe
Who
buy you
would've thought?
sound Canadian,
It's
but
shocking.
you don't even sound Canadian. I mean.
Well, I got rid of the accent, actually. It was a conscious choice. Although if I spend any length of time up in Canada, it'll sort of pop back out and I have to put it away. But it was a conscious choice because essentially nobody wants Canadian actors that sound or stereotypically look from an actor's perspective Canadian. So when I say look Canadian in that regard, what I mean is if you watch television in Canada, like on any Canadian TV that you probably can't watch unless you're actually in Canada, but like Canadian news programs and Canadian actors on Canadian TV shows are typically much fairer skinned, and then are usually a little bit larger. Like if the average actor is female actor is a size 2 in LA, the average actor is a size 5 or 6 in Canada. So not to say that they're heavy or anything like that. It's just a different aesthetic. So they look more like real people, essentially, if you look at the TV show. So, and this is, don't send me hate mail, don't blast me. I'm not saying this is how it should be or whatever it is. I'm simply saying that was some difficulty that I faced when I was living in the Midwest, and my agents would try to submit me to stuff that was shooting in Canada. They only ever wanted to see people living in LA because they knew that if you're working and living in LA, you cannot possibly have those issues. You sound and look American, or else you wouldn't be booking work. So my agents would have to fight to try to get me, to be able to tape auditions to show people and be like, no, I swear, you can't tell that she's Canadian, but she is.
Another thing we've learned about Jessica, listeners, she can pass for Canadian.
I can. Exactly right. It's one of the things where you're like, wait a second, come on, people, work with me here. So yeah, so needless to say, I got rid of it intentionally because, I like to work. So if you say like an A or something, people are taken out of the experience of the film a lot of the time. And usually when they're shooting in Canada, they're usually doubling it for some other place. Like Winnipeg is doubling for, Minneapolis or wherever, and Toronto is doubling for New York. So it's not usually made to be a Canadian show.
Exactly. I just got done reading a book about Vincent Price, and when they shot The Last Man on Earth, it was supposed to be set in Los Angeles, and they shot it in Rome. So, I have no idea what that's about. But we traditionally wrap up Nerd Remix Radio with Derek giving some half-witted words of wisdom that are completely absurd. So I'm going to leave that to you. I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your words of wisdom?
My words of wisdom. To know what you're passionate about and then go after it in a very productive, strategic manner.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Jessica. I appreciate you doing this.
My pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
That's your words of wisdom? Fuck it. I'm sexier than her anyway.